If you close your eyes, you can almost hear it, the whisper of the sea against the hull of an old wooden ship. Tonight, we stepped quietly aboard the Mayflower, not as explorers or settlers, but as dreamers, gently wandering through the ship that carried hope across an endless ocean. The journey was long, but tonight, it is only calm, and the sea waits for us to drift. It is quiet down here, not the kind of silence that feels empty, but a living hush, full of the sound of gentle breathing, the faint groan of the ship's timbers, and the steady rhythm of the ocean pressing softly against the wooden hull. The lantern light is dim, swaying with the motion of the Mayflower, sending golden shadows climbing up the curved beams above my head. The air smells of salt and oak, of wool blankets and tallow candles. Every sound seems to come from far away, a whisper of rope, the rustle of someone turning in their sleep, a single drop of water finding its way down from the deck above. I walk slowly, careful not to disturb anyone. My hand trails along the rough planks of the wall, cool, slightly damp with sea mist. The corridor is narrow here, and I can hear the gentle creak of hammocks rocking side to side, almost in time with the heartbeat of the waves. Families sleep close together, mothers and children wrapped beneath warm blankets, men curled up on straw pallets, their shoes tucked neatly beside them. The air is close, but it feels warm and human, filled with quiet endurance. Someone murmurs a prayer under their breath. Someone else snores softly. And somewhere, faintly, a lullaby drifts, a tune carried from another world, another shore. The ship itself seems to breathe with us, each sigh of the timbers, each soft shudder of the hull, feels alive, as though the Mayflower knows it carries more than just people and cargo. It carries hope. It carries longing. It carries the weight of dreams packed away in small chests and folded letters, bound for a land none of them have ever seen. I imagine what it must be like to sleep here night after night, hearing nothing but the sea, seeing nothing but the same planks, feeling the same motion beneath you until you begin to dream in rhythm with the tides. Perhaps, after a while, the sea stops being strange and starts to sound like home. There's a smell of bread somewhere, faint, old, but comforting. Someone must have tucked away a small loaf to make it last another day. The air moves gently through a narrow crack in the boards, and the flame of my lantern flickers like a heartbeat. I pause to listen, not for anything in particular, but for everything all at once. The ship, the ocean, the lives bound up together in this wooden world, children murmur in their sleep, dreaming of fields and rivers and warm sunlight on their faces. Their mothers whisper soft shushes and shift beneath their blankets. The sound of the ocean never stops, a constant, calm presence, like the earth's own lullaby. Even the sailors above, though unseen, seem part of this rhythm. Footsteps, murmurs, the faint pull of ropes. I notice how the air feels heavier here, not unpleasant, just lived in. It holds the scent of people, of candle smoke and wool and salt. It's a scent of survival. Of simple things held close. Every item, a worn shawl, a small wooden toy, a folded letter, tells its own quiet story. None of it grand, but all of it deeply human. I take a seat beside one of the sleeping families. The wood beneath me is rough, but steady. My lantern sways softly beside me, painting the walls in gold and shadow. I think of how brave these people must be, to leave everything behind, to trust a wooden ship against the endless sea. And I wonder if they, too, in moments like this, ever simply listen, not to the wind, but to the steady comfort of the ship's heartbeat. The Mayflower creaks and hums as if it's singing them to sleep, the waves press gently against its sides, whispering their approval. Somewhere above, the stars are hidden behind clouds, but I imagine them all the same, ancient, patient, watching this tiny vessel drift through their light. The ship rocks us all, not harshly, but tenderly, as though cradling its passengers through the night. The hammocks sway, the air moves, and I feel the quiet weight of dreams filling the darkness. Every sigh, every breath, becomes part of the same gentle music, and so, the Mayflower sails onward, through the cold night, across the deep water, carrying lives and hopes and the promise of something new. Down here, in the dim glow of lanterns and the warmth of sleeping bodies, it feels almost peaceful. The ocean hums a lullaby against the hull, and for a while, it seems that the world is no larger than this, just wood and air and dreams. The lantern flickers once, then steadies, and the ship, like a kind old mother, rocks us all to sleep. It takes a little effort to climb down into the lowest part of the ship. The ladder is steep, the air cooler, and the scent changes with every step, less of people now, and more of earth and salt and wood. Down here, beneath the passengers, lies the heart of the Mayflower, the place where everything necessary for survival waits in stillness. When I reach the bottom, the world feels hushed. The lantern's glow barely reaches the far corners, leaving shapes that seem half-formed in the dim light, barrels stacked in careful rows, wooden crates bound tight with rope, bundles wrapped in sailcloth, all resting in patient silence. The air feels thick and old, like a cellar that has been breathing with the sea for centuries. I take a deep breath and smell the mingled scents of grain and dried meat, of pitch and tar, of something faintly metallic, perhaps from the tools or nails stored nearby. Every object here seems to hum softly with purpose, as if it knows it is part of something greater. The ship's timbers groan gently around me. It's a low, comforting sound, deep in the bones of the Mayflower. Above, I can faintly hear footsteps, a muffled reminder that life continues on the decks above, though here, it feels far away, as if the hold exists in another world entirely. My lantern catches the curve of a large water cask, its sides smooth and dark. Each one of these barrels holds precious fresh water, rationed carefully to last through the voyage. I imagine the crew counting every drop, measuring every sip. In this dim space, water becomes more than a simple drink. It is time itself, the measure of how far they can go, how long they can endure. Nearby, I see sacks of flour and hard biscuit, ship's bread, dense and dry, made to last. There are crates filled with salted fish, bundles of dried peas, and casks of beer, safer to drink than the water after many weeks. Everything is organized with care, though the ship's rocking gives the illusion that it all moves slowly, like a great, breathing organism shifting in its sleep. The air here tells its own story. There's a heaviness to it. A still patience, the kind that comes with things waiting to be used. The passengers above depend on what rests here in the shadows, though most will never see it. Yet every piece, each tool, each seed, each nail and rope, holds the quiet promise of a new beginning. As I move my lantern closer, I notice a small wooden chest, tucked behind a stack of barrels. It's simple, bound with iron, its surface rubbed smooth by hands that packed it in England months ago. Perhaps it holds someone's few treasured possessions, a book, a keepsake, a scrap of home. I imagine it sitting there, among sacks of meal and barrels of salted pork, holding a story all its own. The ship shifts slightly, and the wooden floor murmurs beneath my feet. A soft creak, a sigh of timbers, like an old body settling into rest. I pause to listen. There's something strangely comforting in these sounds, as though the ship itself is alive and aware, carrying not just supplies but the fragile hopes of those above. lantern light dances along the curved walls, revealing marks carved by tools and hands. The craftsmanship of the ship becomes clearer down here, every joint, every nail, every plank fitted with purpose. It is both human and monumental. The Mayflower was not built to be elegant, but to be strong, to endure the endless movement of the sea and the weight of its cargo, and that cargo, this hidden heart, is more than goods and gear. It is a map of what they believed in. Each item tells us what they thought they would need in a new world: food, yes, and tools, but also seeds for planting, fabrics for warmth, perhaps a Bible or two carefully packed in among the trade goods. These things are not just supplies, they are faith made solid. A drop of seawater finds its way through a seam above, landing with a soft tap on the deck near my feet. The ship groans, but holds fast. It feels as though even the ocean respects this small, stubborn vessel. Everything here, from the thick ropes to the barrels of nails, is part of a quiet prayer, one built not of words but of effort. I take another slow step, and the air grows cooler still. My lantern flickers, and for a moment, the hold goes nearly dark. I stand still, listening. The sound of the ocean filters through the wooden hull, soft, steady, like breathing. The ship rocks, the barrels creak, and everything returns to calm. Down here, it feels as if time has slowed. The people above are living, breathing, hoping, but here, everything waits. It is a stillness made of purpose. Even the smallest nail seems to understand that its moment will come, that it will hold up a house, a barn, or a new ship someday. Far from this dark place beneath the waves, I run my hand along the side of a crate. The wood is rough but warm. It feels solid, dependable, like the heart of the world itself. In this quiet space, I realize how deeply human this ship truly is. It carries life above, and the means to live below. Every creak, every breath of the sea, connects them all. The lantern light settles again, and the shadows grow long. It feels peaceful here, the kind of peace that comes from knowing everything is where it should be. Above, people dream. Below, the ship dreams with them, and so, the Mayflower moves onward, slow, steady, carrying her hidden heart across the endless water. Everything here waits in stillness, listening to the sea, dreaming of the shore that no one has yet seen. Everything here. Even the barrels, I think, dream of land. The stairs leading up from the cargo hold creak softly under my boots. The air changes as I climb, less dense, touched by movement, carrying the faint scent of salt wind. Here, between the world below and the open sky above, lies the ship's middle layer, the gun deck. It is not a place of battle now, though once, perhaps, the cannons here were meant to protect. Tonight, it is quiet, the long stretch of deck lit by the gentle, flickering glow of a single lantern hanging from a beam. Shadows move softly along the walls, and the sound of the sea presses close, a rhythmic hush and sigh. I walk slowly. The boards beneath me are smooth from years of footsteps, sailors pacing, passengers moving carefully between sleeping quarters and the open deck. There is a kind of music in these old timbers, a deep, steady hum that blends with the ocean's voice outside. The sound feels both ancient and kind, as if the sea and the ship have come to an understanding long ago. Along one wall, small openings, gunports, are shuttered against the wind. I pause beside one and lift the latch just enough to let in a thread of night air. The sound of the sea fills the space at once, soft but endless, the waves rolling past like the steady breath of a giant. I can smell the salt and feel the faintest touch of spray. The air is cool, alive, carrying whispers from the far horizon. There is something humbling about standing here, halfway between the hidden depths below and the boundless sky above. It feels like the heart of the ship's body, a place of balance. The ocean presses from one side, the passengers' dreams rest on the other. Between them, the ship endures, creaking, sighing, holding them all. A faint sound catches my ear, the shuffle of boots somewhere ahead. One of the crew, moving slowly, checking ropes, perhaps adjusting something unseen in the dim light. His steps are unhurried, and I let the rhythm of his motion merge with the sound of the waves. Everything on this ship seems to move in time with the sea. The air smells faintly of oil and hemp, the ropes coiled neatly by the bulkheads, the oiled cloths used to keep the guns dry. I imagine sailors polishing the iron cannons in the morning light. Their work quiet and methodical, the same every day. Routine, in a place like this, must feel like safety. As I continue along the deck, I can hear the muffled groan of the ship's mast reaching up through the ceiling above. It creaks softly, like an old voice murmuring in its sleep. The sound is strangely comforting, a reminder that this ship, this wooden world, is alive in its own way. It bends and breathes with the sea but never breaks. I pause beside a stack of barrels secured with rope, and for a moment I simply listen. The sounds here are never still, not truly. Even in the calmest hour, there is motion, the whisper of rope against wood, the sigh of the hull, the soft lap of water. It feels like the heartbeat of the world itself. Somewhere above, a door opens, and a dim shaft of moonlight falls across the deck. Dust motes drift lazily through it, turning in the air like small, silver stars. I reach out and let one settle on my hand before it disappears again into the darkness. For a brief moment, I think of the people above, the sailors who keep watch through the long night. They move carefully over the wet planks of the upper deck, adjusting sails, reading the wind by touch and instinct. Their voices are low, their laughter quiet. They have made peace with the endless horizon, trusting the stars to guide them. Down here, their movements echo like whispers through the wood. It feels as if the ship listens to them, understands them. Every creak of rope, every gentle strain of the mast, is an answer, a conversation between ship and sea, between men and the elements they cannot command. I stand in the half-light and imagine what it must feel like to sail through a night with no land in sight, only the soft curve of the horizon and the dark water stretching forever. I think of how the ocean must look beneath the ship, deep and unending, full of mysteries that no one aboard will ever see. Yet, somehow, that not knowing feels peaceful. The sea does not threaten tonight, it simply holds them, vast and calm and infinite. The lantern flickers again, casting long shadows that seem to drift like waves across the deck. I find myself breathing in rhythm with the ship, slow, steady, patient. It feels as though everything here is part of a single, quiet motion, from the sails above to the barrels below. The Mayflower moves as one body, and those aboard become part of her heartbeat. Outside, the wind shifts slightly. I can hear the sails tightening, a low hum like a sigh of contentment. The ocean's voice softens. For a moment, it feels as if the whole world has slowed, resting with us, and in that stillness, I think I can hear the faintest sound, not of the ship, nor of the waves, but of the night itself. A kind of distant humming. Like the earth turning quietly beneath the stars, the Mayflower breathes with the sea, the ocean listens, and the world, for now, feels steady. The air greets me before I even reach the top of the steps, cool and damp, touched with salt and mist. a breath of the open world. When I finally emerge onto the upper deck, it feels as though I've stepped into another realm entirely. The sky stretches wide above me, and for the first time in what feels like hours, there is space, real, endless space, between me and the horizon. The sea is calm tonight, it rolls in slow, glassy swells that catch the faint light of dawn just beginning to bloom in the east. The stars still linger, faint and patient, fading one by one as the edge of the world softens into a pale gold. The Mayflower moves gently, gliding through the water as though it, too, is drowsy, reluctant to wake. The deck smells of wet rope and tar, of salt air and weathered wood. Every plank beneath my feet has a story, of footsteps, of work, of endurance. I can see where the sailor's boots have worn the boards smooth over the months. The ropes lie in neat coils, glistening faintly with dew. The sails above hang like vast, ghostly wings, billowing and breathing in rhythm with the wind. A sailor passes quietly by, nodding once in greeting, his face half hidden beneath the brim of his hat. His steps make soft thuds against the damp boards, steady and sure. Another stands at the rail, gazing out toward the horizon, his breath visible in the cool air. They do not speak much at this hour, the world is too peaceful to disturb. I rest my hands against the railing and look out over the sea. The water stretches endlessly, a moving mirror catching the first rays of morning. The sound of it is soft and endless, a hush, a whisper, a heartbeat. Each wave folds gently into the next, rising and falling like breath. In that sound, I can almost hear time itself moving, slow and sure and kind. I imagine what it must feel like to live this way, between sky and sea for so many weeks. Days marked not by land or cities, but by light, the color of the sunrise, the way the stars return each night. There must be comfort in it, I think, this steady repetition. The world above and below never argues, never rushes. It simply is. The sky is growing lighter now, the first hint of rose and gold brushing the low clouds. The horizon looks soft and far away, as if it could be touched if only one reached far enough. Somewhere below, I can hear the ship stirring, a door creaking open, voices murmuring, the faint clatter of a kettle being moved. Life, awakening gently, the captain steps out onto the deck, his coat buttoned against the morning chill. He moves with quiet authority, a presence that doesn't need words. For a moment, he looks out over the sea, and I wonder what he thinks about in moments like this. Does he feel pride? Fear? Or something simpler, a calm trust in the ship beneath him? The wind around him, and the horizon ahead, the sails shift slightly as a breeze rises. It smells cleaner now, fresher, the scent of a new day. The ropes creak, the masts groan softly, and the Mayflower tilts almost imperceptibly as she adjusts her course. There is a music to it all, a slow, thoughtful rhythm, the song of a ship moving in harmony with the world. The sun breaks the horizon then, a soft, glowing disk that turns the water to molten gold. The light spreads quietly, touching everything it can reach, the ropes, the sails, the weary faces of the crew. No one cheers, no one shouts. They simply watch. For them, sunrise is not spectacle, but comfort. Proof that another day has come. That the ship still moves forward, that they are still held gently between heaven and earth. I close my eyes and listen. The sea hums beneath us, the wind murmurs through the rigging. The ship creaks in reply. It feels as though everything around me, air, water, wood, light, is breathing together in perfect rhythm, and for a moment, there is no separation at all, not between people and the sea, not between the ship and the sky. Only motion, only calm, only the soft pulse of life continuing on. I think of the passengers below, still sleeping, their dreams perhaps full of green fields and warm sunlight. They do not know yet what this new day will bring. But up here, standing in the first light of morning, I feel something steady, something quiet and certain. Hope, perhaps, not loud or sudden, but deep and enduring, like the sea itself. The Mayflower sails on, her sails full and bright in the dawn. Around her, the ocean gleams like glass, endless and kind. The sky above opens wide, welcoming the day, and for just a little while, everything, the ship, the sea, the people aboard, feels exactly as it should be, small and brave, moving gently forward, carried by the soft hands of the wind. The morning has risen fully now, but here in the captain's cabin, the light feels softer, filtered through the small, round windows that look out toward the sea. The room is small but tidy, every inch of it purposeful. The scent of salt and oak lingers here, mixed with something faintly warm, wax, parchment, and the faint smoke of an extinguished candle. I close the door quietly behind me, and the sound of the sea fades just a little. It's never silent aboard a ship, only quieter, as if the world has drawn a curtain between you and the wind. The floor tilts gently beneath my feet, and the shadows shift like waves across the wooden walls. On the captain's desk lies an open map, its edges curling slightly with damp. The lines of continents and coasts are faded from use. There are small marks in ink, calculations, perhaps, or notes about the wind. A brass compass rests beside it, steady and gleaming in the light. The ship's movement makes its needle tremble gently, as if it, too, is breathing. I imagine the captain sitting here through long nights, tracing routes by candlelight, his face lit by the soft flame. He must have known the sound of this ship's every groan and sigh, could tell the difference between a shift of wind and a change in the waves. The Mayflower is not just wood to him, she's a living thing, a companion he must trust without question. The chair before the desk is worn smooth at the arms, polished by the touch of steady hands. I run my fingers along the grain of the wood. It's warm to the touch, as though it remembers the weight of its owner. A quill rests beside the map, its tip still faintly stained with ink. The captain must have left it there only moments before, perhaps to step out and look at the morning sky, to feel the breeze and confirm what the compass already knows. The cabin moves in quiet rhythm. The ship rocks, the lantern sways. A few small objects rattle softly on the shelf, a pewter mug, a small wooden box, a folded chart. Nothing here is for show. Everything has a place and a reason. It feels almost sacred in its simplicity. Through the small window, I can see the sea. It stretches endlessly, blue and white and shimmering with sunlight. From this view, the world looks gentle, calm, forgiving. Yet I know it can turn fierce in moments. Perhaps that's why this space feels so still, because it must be, to balance what lies beyond. I picture the captain standing here, hand resting on the window frame, eyes on the horizon. What must he feel in those quiet hours before the ship wakes fully? Pride, perhaps. Or the soft ache of responsibility, knowing that every life aboard depends on his choices, his calm, his faith in wind and wood and stars. It strikes me that his role is not so different from the ship's itself. Both must hold steady when others cannot. Both must endure the long silence of the sea, guiding those who dream of land. and perhaps, when the waves are kind and the stars align, both find a moment of stillness like this, where the world seems to hum with peace, and all that exists is motion, purpose, and quiet. I take a slow breath, letting the air fill my chest, and exhale. The sound of the ship is everywhere, the faint creak of timber, the distant flap of sailcloth, the deep whisper of the sea. It is not loud, but constant, steady, like a heartbeat. The lantern light flickers, catching on the brass instruments and the polished wood. The entire room glows softly, as though lit from within. I imagine the captain returning soon, adjusting the chart, checking his bearings, pausing only for a moment to look at the sea again. Not with fear, but with quiet respect. Outside, I can hear faint footsteps above, the start of another day's work. Ropes being drawn, voices calling softly. The Mayflower continues on, her course unchanged, her purpose sure. Down below, passengers will rise from their sleep, children will stir, the smell of bread will return. The ship will live another day in perfect rhythm with the sea. I stand for a moment longer, listening to that rhythm, feeling it echo somewhere deep within my chest. The same pulse that moves through the ship seems to move through me too, slow, steady, patient, and I realize then that this voyage, though long, is not just a crossing of water. It is a passage of spirit, from one life to another, from the known to the unknown, carried gently by wood and faith and the quiet strength of the sea. The lantern's flame dips low, the waves murmur softly outside, the ship continues her journey, calm, steadfast, eternal, and in this quiet cabin, surrounded by the hum of timbers and the sigh of wind, I feel peace, a deep, settling peace that belongs not just to the Mayflower, but to all who travel in hope. The Mayflower sails onward, steady and kind, through the endless blue of morning, carrying her people, and their dreams, toward the waiting world. The sea is quiet again, the lanterns are low, and somewhere beyond the wooden walls of the Mayflower, the stars watch in silence. The ship sails onward, steady and sure, across the calm, endless blue. Each creak of timber, each sigh of wind, feels like a lullaby written just for us. The people aboard dream of land. But tonight, they rest upon the sea, safe within its cradle. Perhaps we do, too, because the ocean doesn't rush. It doesn't hurry, it simply carries us gently forward. So, as the Mayflower drifts into another quiet night, let her carry you too, away from thought, away from time, until only peace remains. Good night, and may your dreams sail softly on calm waters.